Welcome to Berlin, welcome to Tempelhof, the venue that will once again host a Formula E season finale. This is an absolutely huge moment for everybody involved, because by the end of this weekend, Formula E would have crowned its first ever drivers and teams world champions. This is a massive moment. It literally does not get any bigger than this. And even better, that world championship is in no way sewn up. More likely than not, we'll go right down to the very last moment, the checkered flag of that final race on Sunday. So far to get here this season, we've had 10 different winners. Every single driver has scored points, and now going into this final weekend, only 17 points separate the drivers, the top 6 drivers in the standings. There's 60 points up for grabs across the 2 races this weekend, which means that mathematically speaking, 1 of 18 drivers has the potential to win the World Championship, and 11 of the 12 teams. So with that in mind, what can we expect from what's looking like a fascinating finale? What predictions can be made? Well, let's find out. Mercedes EQ driver Nyck de Vries leads the championship by 6 points after that double podium in London, adding on top of the 2 wins he already had this season. But despite how much he's impressed everyone in only his 2nd season in the championship, that slender lead, no guarantee, especially with how instrumental the qualifying groups have been this season.
Getting into Superpole from Group 1 is no easy task, but it is possible, especially in Berlin. That was the catalyst to Da Costa's success last season, leading the championship into Berlin and holding that position with spectacular qualifying from the toughest group. De Vries entered Formula E as a Formula 2 champion. Will he be leaving this weekend with another championship to his name?
Despite not winning a race this season, Robin Frijns' 3 podiums, consistent point scoring and undeniably impressive racecraft has left him in the best position he's ever been for the championship title.
Frijns' previous results in Berlin are also encouraging. In the 6 races last season, Frijns scored 2 podiums and a 4th place. Now, given how tight things are at the top and how much can change with race winners, that could be enough to secure the championship without even winning a race.
Running behind his former teammate Robin Frijns, it's Sam Bird in 3rd.
London was not kind to the British driver, but his 2 race wins and additional podium have kept him in the mix for the championship. I'm imagining this is all feeling a little like deja vu going into the final weekend, because Sam Bird has been in this position multiple times in his Formula E career. But this season feels like it's set up to be the time to do it. A new team in Jaguar Racing, the first World Championship up for grabs, more to prove than ever. It's time to see if the stars have aligned for Sam Bird.
Jake Dennis, I mean, wow. What a rookie season this guy's having. 2 race wins, 2 double-digit points hauls, means he goes into this final weekend 4th in the standings, well in with a shot at the title. And not just that, in the manufacturer team, BMW's final race in the championship on home soil.
The one thing Dennis has against him, though, is the lack of experience on this circuit against the drivers around him in the championship. All of Jake Dennis's big points have come in circuits that have hosted their first Formula E race this season. Valencia, Puebla and London, where there was more of a level playing field with track experience. So that, combined with the challenge of Group 1 qualifying, means Dennis needs to get up to speed very quickly to keep any hopes of the perfect debut season alive.
And closing out the top 5 is defending champion, who's only 1 point behind 3rd and 4th, Antonio Felix da Costa.
As we saw last season, Berlin is a very happy hunting ground for Da Costa, not only as the venue that hosted his championship win, but a circuit he knows how to get the most out of in the all-important qualifying groups. Last season, Da Costa had 2 pole positions from Group 1 here, but he also performed excellently in the races with his energy management, his racecraft, and multiple fastest laps. Now, matching that performance even slightly will put him in a fantastic position to retain the title and add world champion to his resume.
Alex LYNN is not a driver the bookies would have had as a title favourite going into the season. But what he's done is well and truly silence his critics, thanks to those 3 podiums, including that triumphant home soil race win in London.
He finished in the points in 3 of the 6 races here last season, but was especially impressive in qualifying, getting into Superpole the same number of times. With qualifying being more decisive than ever this season, LYNN's recent run of form on top of his pace here last season could be the perfect combination for an outside shot at the championship. This campaign has already given him his first podium and his first win. Could it give him his first title too?
Now, wildcards almost seem like a silly thing to suggest at this point, with 18 drivers still in with a running at the championship. But having said that, there are a handful of drivers that for a number of reasons might find themselves in a particularly favourable position going into that final race day in the qualifying groups. Or rather, in particular, a specific qualifying group that could play a significant role.
As we've seen time and time again this season, the group qualifying can play havoc with the grid. Track evolution, changes in weather and freak results in previous races, mixing up the standings and the groups.
So what we've done is we've taken the qualifying results and then the overall race results, put them together, compared them, and we've found some pretty interesting stats. Now, we all know that Group 1 is the toughest place to be going into a race day, but what we've found by looking at the averages across the season is that more often than not, Group 3 is the place to be, even better than Group 4.
Being fastest in the third group leads to the greatest number of average points scored in the race, and those that finish top of Group 3, 50% of the time, go on to finish in the podium positions.
So looking at the first of the 2 races this weekend, which drivers are in Group 3, and based on the averages, are in with a good shot?
Stoffel Vandoorne, Lucas de Grassi, Maximilian Günther, Oliver Rowland, Andre Lotterer and Alexander Sims. The first 4 of those drivers have all won here in previous seasons. Last time we visited in the case of Vandoorne, Günther and Rowland. So based on this season's averages, could we see those Group 3 drivers score more than those above them in the championship and reduce the gap even further going into the final race? The exception that breaks the rule, of course, and throws the stats off are the drivers that can get into Superpole and a good starting position from Group 1. Something Da Costa has done here before on multiple occasions, and something Nyck de Vries achieved most recently in London. The drivers that can do that are more often than not the ones that will be in the greater chance of winning the championship.
The Teams Championship, as it stands, is led by Envision Virgin Racing, who have a 7-point cushion on Mercedes EQ. Not a big lead by any stretch, especially in Formula E. Now, Mercedes then lead Jaguar, but only by 2 points, who are 8 points ahead of DS Techeetah, who are 5 points ahead of BMW. I think you get the point, it's close.
Team consistency is going to be crucial to build any gap and comfort after the first race on Saturday. But with that so hard to come by in Formula E, strategy will need to be seamless, getting the absolute most out of every session on track. Reacting and capitalising on every opportunity and vitally scoring as many points as possible. We've never had such a close championship going into the final races with so many teams still in contention.
Berlin will also host a battle of German manufacturers and drivers, racing here for bragging rights on home soil. But not just that, in the first ticketed event of the season, meaning fans will also be here watching and cheering on those local heroes of Andre Lotterer, Maximilian Günther, Pascal Wehrlein and René Rast.
But the German giants have even more at stake. Audi and BMW will both want to go out with a bang in their final races as manufacturer teams. Porsche and their all-German lineup are still in search of that first win after coming painfully close on a number of occasions, and Mercedes EQ are in the strongest position out of the 4 to not just leave Berlin top of the German manufacturers, but with the driver and team's championship titles too.
This weekend will run as 2 separate race events. Rather than racing 2 races on the same configuration on a Saturday and Sunday, what we're doing here is reversing the layout, changing the configuration overnight, making the track go from anti-clockwise to clockwise. And also that means that Saturday and Sunday will each have 2 free practice sessions rather than the free practice 3 that we're used to on the Sunday morning.
We're returning to the 10-turn 2.35km circuit from previous seasons, with the attack mode activation zone located at turn 6 on Saturday, but what will be turn 5 for Sunday's reverse layout.
This whirlwind of a season has all been leading to this moment, and this World Championship trophy. That's right, we don't cut any corners on this channel, we get the real deal, it's here. We know that this weekend will be a roller coaster of emotions, and it will likely go down to the very wire. So cancel all your plans, clear all your schedules, because this is a race weekend you are not going to want to miss. For the last time this season, get your thoughts and predictions in the comments, and let's do this.